Welcome, everyone, to the latest installment of Arreva Academy's further webinars. My name is Eric Smith, and I'll be your trainer for today's session, which is titled Adding a New User and Donor Levels. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you're having trouble seeing the screen or any other technical issue, just send a chat message and someone on our staff will assist you with getting connected. Also, we are recording today's session and it will be available for viewing by next week from our website. You can find the recorded sessions by going to our website, www.arreva.com. Under Services, you can go down to Arreva Academy. And from there, down below, you can go to Previously Recorded Sessions, and that's where you'll see them. Finally, we appreciate your taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us, and that is why these trainings will always be very short and will not field questions. If you're interested in a more in-depth training on any subject related to further, please contact me at trainings, that's plural, trainings@arreva.com. All right, let's explore adding a new user and donor levels. When you want to add somebody to be able to access Exceed as a new user, we highly recommend that you add their people record under the entity for your organization. Now, when we give you access to the program initially, whether you've had a conversion done or it's a blank database, your organization's entity record will be the very first entity record in there. And you can either do a search to find your organization, or another way to find it is just to go to the household orgs, all household orgs, and then go ahead and sort the list by entity ID to see the first one there. Now, this particular data set is our client demo, so it's not an organization that is the main entity, but a household. So we'll just put on our imagination caps and pretend this is an organization. Now, what you're going to want to do is go into the record and then go ahead and add a people record for that person that you want to have access to the program to give them a user. After you've done that, you definitely want to go ahead and add an email address for them. All right, and you'll need to do that because that is going to be their login ID for logging into the program. So after adding their people record, for instance, John Davis here is the person I just recently added, and if I come over to email, I can see that there's now a J Davis that I added as well, and I attached it to his record. So make sure you get that set up first. That's the very first thing you want to do is get that people record in there and get it in with their email. If you want to add a phone number to them, an address, any of that sort of stuff, absolutely by all means, but what's really important is just that email address. Now, after that step, you're going to go into under this pull down menu where it says hello, your name, you're going to go to the administration tab. And you're going to click on user management. This is where everything related to users that access the program you're going to go ahead and manage it from here. There are some sub-tabs down below here, and I'm not going to go into detail in some of them, but I am going to come over here to user. This is the tab you're going to go to add a new user. All right. What you're going to do first, you might want to double check and just see if they're in your list of users. Probably not. So you're just going to come up here, and anything that's asterisk, just like anywhere else in the program, when you're doing data entry, requires you to put information in. Now you could come in and just type in his name, John Davis, and then do a search, see if the program finds it. It found John Davis under this particular entity. Let's say it's your organization again. I'm going to select it. Hit done, and you'll notice it automatically puts the email address in here that's connected to John Davis's record, so that will be his user ID. You can then give John Davis a very simple password for going ahead and accessing the program, or you can go ahead and make it very difficult, whatever you want. You can also go ahead and add, let's say John here is only going to be, he's volunteering with you and he's only going to maybe access the program for 2 or 3 months over the summer because he's an intern and he's going to help you with data entry. Well, in that case, you may want to set an expiration date as to when his user will expire so that he can't log in after that. All right. You could do it that way, or you could just leave it, no expiry, as well as the number of days. You can then go ahead and click on Send Password Reset Email. What that will do will send an email to John letting him know he needs to reset his password in order to access the program, because you've established a password for him. Once you've gone ahead and created John, you want to make sure you hit Save, just like in other things. All right, now what it's telling me is something that you have to give him some sort of role. Now, we've had a number of roles set up here. Roles just are different sort of ways that users can access different parts of the program. So let's say, for example, that maybe John is a board member and we're giving him access to the program to come in to look up some major donors and their gifts and stuff, but we're not going to allow him to do data entry. So when we set up the role, we also then set up the privileges for that role that said what he could and could not access. So I'm going to give him that one. I'm going to make it his primary one. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. And it will create a user for John. So if I come down here now, maybe I'll sort it by the login ID, and I come down, and there is Jay Davis. Okay, that's how you go ahead and create a new user. Now let's go ahead and take a few minutes to talk about donor levels and what that's all about. I'm going to close out of the admin for a moment, and I'm just going to come into somebody's record. I'll pick an easy name, Smith. And I'll pick Joan Smith. Okay, so one thing I want to point out is that in the program we have a number of different areas where we keep track of totals, and we've done some previous videos on these particular areas, whether it's the gift totals, which are automatically calculated by the program, the total giving information, whether that's lifetime or year to date, and that is something where you can actually set that up yourself, okay? And then the program keeps track of that information. But donor levels is a little bit different. This is where we're setting up totals, but we're doing it to set up categories of giving. So whether that's, gold, silver, and bronze, or friend, and then sponsor, and then, patron, or whatever kind of thing. So here's how you can set up your donor levels, and then what it looks like on their record once you've done that. So again, I'm going to actually close this so we have a little bit more room here to work and see things. And I'm going to come back into administration. Under administration, there are a number of subtabs. Way to the right is the subtab for donor levels. If you don't see it, you may need to go ahead and click these two bars right there to get over to it, because there are, of course, other things over there. I'm going to click on donor levels. Now, there are two parts to setting up your donor levels. One is setting up your range table, and then the other is going and setting up your extraction criteria for those donor levels. Now, these were already put in here, established earlier. I'm going to go ahead and adjust these a little bit. For instance, I'm going to make actually the from range, I'm going to start it at $50, okay? And I'm going to make the to range, I'll make it actually $249.99. And you'll notice automatically this starts adjusting itself for that, okay? So the friend range is between 50 to 250. The leader is between 250 and 2,500, and so on and so forth. You can add new rows below. You can add rows. If you click the Add Row button here, it'll actually add it right down at the bottom here. If you want to add rows between different levels, then you click on this Add New Row below. Now, I'm going to go ahead and you don't have to click Save here. You'll actually click Save on the donor levels. So you'll click on Step 2 and come over here. And this is where you set up your extraction criteria. It's much more limited in what you can extract on. We don't really give date ranges and that sort of thing. What we do is give what are called giving periods. So let's say, for instance, right now this one's set to current calendar year. It's got some gift types, that thing. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and set this to lifetime. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and say that it's only available for certain funds, right? Maybe like restricted or unrestricted, something like that. But I'm going to leave it at this. I'll exclude unpaid sales. I do want soft credits included. Now, if you're not familiar with it, soft credits are where somebody has gone ahead and helped get in a donation. So maybe it's a matching gift. Their company sends a check for $500, and you want to soft credit John Doe, who was the employee that got that donation for you, with that money so that it kind of goes towards his totals. Okay? So I'm going to hit save at the moment. It just says you've changed your donor level criteria. This requires a recalculation. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to take a few minutes to do this. So while we're doing that, I want to go back really quickly while we're waiting on this calculation and just talk a moment about roles again, just so we can quickly kind of go into that. You can set up an unlimited number of roles, and then you come over to the role privileges to be able to select a particular role, where you then go ahead and you choose what they have access to or what they do not have access to. Okay? So you can give them view rights, edit rights, that sort of thing. You can see this one, they've got maybe a few edit rights here in reports, but they don't really have edit rights, say, in bio or in gift or in various other things. So that's where you can really set up those roles. Not too many people set up more than maybe a couple of roles tops. They might have their super user. That's a role that's given to individuals who have access to everything. And then there's maybe an administrator. Maybe you have the grant module, and you only want the grant coordinator to have access to certain screens like the bio screen and the grant module, but not to the gift, or maybe not to the guest or the volunteer or anything like that. Okay. All right. We're still waiting for this to calculate here. Once it's done calculating, we're going to go in and take a look at a few records that have this information and how it shows. And the nice thing that it displays is it will display on their record information as to what particular level they are in, and then what whether they've gone up and down recently. Okay, so I'm going to do Smith again. I'll just pick John Smith here. And it says John Smith is a friend as of this time. Remember, that friend was between 50 and 250. Looks like, if we look at his gifts over time, $35. Maybe it didn't adjust my range tables here. Yeah, it didn't. It kind of kept it. I guess you do have to hit this save now. It used to be that you didn't. Anyway, John is now a friend. Let's go back to the profile here. And then let's go ahead and look at somebody else. We'll take Jones, and we'll just grab something, maybe Michael Jones here. And he's a leader. Okay, he's in a larger category. Okay, so that's what this does. Now, there are ways to use this information to extract for reports or mailings, but this is where you're going to kind of see it when you're looking on your records. All right. I said it would be short. It was a little bit longer than I expected, but that's all we have for today on adding a new user and donor levels. As mentioned at the beginning, this session is being recorded and will be available for viewing by at least next week on our website at the www.arreva.com under the Arreva Academy, and then under the previously recorded sessions. But if you're interested in more in-depth training for this or any further topic, just go ahead and email me at trainings, that's plural again, trainings@arreva.com. Thank you for attending today's further webinar, and we hope to see you in the future.